How to handle rejection like the gods do. I am Neil Larthos, the next Abdullah, and you guys are the next Neville Goddard. Now, when I say handle rejection like the gods, I don't want you to mistake this video as me teaching you how to get your ex back like a lot of these red pill guys say, or whenever you cold approach, you know, how to get the girl's number the next time. No. I'm here to tell you something that you probably don't hear from those communities, which is that unlike all the other pickup artists, you actually have the ability to change the person that you want into a completely different person. Like magic. That girl or that guy who rejected you is one version of an infinite amount of versions of that same human being. But I'm telling you that you can change that person into the version that you want, that doesn't reject you. You got to understand, you are God. You don't understand, you don't realize just how powerful you are. Okay? You walk up to a girl, you ask for the number, she says, get lost, or I'm gonna file a restraining order. Yet, do you really think that God gives a shit whenever somebody walking down the street says, oh, I don't need religion, I don't need the Lord? He created the heavens and the earth. He doesn't need you. He does it out of the loving kindness of his heart. Well, we are made in his image. We are all gods. We are not the mind. We are not the body. Everything in your life is a creation of your own hands. And just like the way you created all the negative circumstances, you can create the circumstance where she is dying to see you, where your gym crush is chasing you, and you don't even have to approach her. She's the one initiating all the contact. So how do you do this? Well, if you haven't already caught on by now, this channel is about law of assumption, which is a teaching taught very popularly from Neville Goddard. So again, if you want red pill tactics, this is not the channel for you. But if you actually want shit where you have to try less and have to practice less, and you don't have to be robotic and do, you know, sets and have a scorecard for how many times the girl looked your way and if she was brushing her hair and oh, I think she likes me, there's a choosing signal. You can create choosing signals out of your ass. Okay? The girl who's ignoring you, who doesn't even look your way, who treats you like you exist, that is the version that you don't want. Well, you can shift to the reality, to the universe, where that girl is the one hoping you will take her out on a date, hoping you will give her your number. You want to shift to that reality. So how do you do that? Well, I already told you you're God, so you want to understand that you're not just this human being who has a 9 to 5 every day. You actually are powerful. You are an infinite being living in a human experience. You're not the mind, you're not the body. The circumstance where you're getting rejected is simply being perceived from the eyes of your body. Literally. When you see rejection, it is not something that comes from within, it's something that comes out here. But I'm telling you that you are not your mind or your body, so therefore the circumstances that you see are not you. You are simply the observer of everything that you see with your mind, with your body. Okay? So when you look in the mirror, When someone says, oh, here comes that fat guy again, or oh my gosh, Neo, your forehead is bigger than Jimmy Neutron, they are actually not looking at me. They are looking at the avatar, the profile picture, if you will, of said Neo Larthos. But the real Neo Larthos is the observer of my experience. So when you can latch onto that, and you can realize that all these circumstances are not reality, then you can actually shift reality into what you really want. So how do you do that? Well, first of all, understand that everything that you see, your rejection, the shitty job that you work at, is only a reflection of past assumptions. You've ever wondered why you notice patterns in your life and why you keep getting rejected no matter how hard you listen to alpha male strategies, and every job that you go to sucks even when you think that it's going to be great? It's because whether you consciously say it in your mind or subconsciously feel that resonance, you are going to be given what you assume to be true. This is what the scriptures mean when they say you reap what you sow. If you keep sowing a bunch of negativity, whether it's consciously or whether it's through the music you listen to, or just the overall feeling of I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, $1 million, that doesn't feel normal to me. That is what you're going to get reflected. So if you got rejected by that girl, there's a very good chance that you have already had the assumption that you cannot get girls of that caliber. Okay? It's not because you're ugly. It's not because you didn't work out enough or because you don't meet the alpha male masculinity criteria. It could actually be because you created the reality where you have to follow all those rules, and now because you slipped up on Tuesday, you were not able to get the fucking number on Wednesday. Okay? Now, there's so many different angles I can, go through in this video, but there's a reason why I'm planning on making like 100 billion videos on this channel, because I don't want to just make these videos fucking 3 hours long and Avengers Infinity War of content in one video, because I know you guys don't have all damn day. But generally speaking, everything you see here is actually not the present moment. It is a reflection of the past assumptions. So like I said, if you constantly keep saying that you're unworthy of love, that is what you're going to see reflected back to you. Right now, I'm in front of a church. Okay? Probably a couple of days ago, I was thinking about a church, and then I wasn't telling myself I'm going to go park by this church, but I like the lighting here, and it just so happens to be that it's by this church that I haven't been to in a long time. I haven't been a very good boy. So the other day, I actually do remember thinking about a church because of a memory or whatever, and the one spot that I decided to pick to shoot this video happens to be next to a church. And that's kind of a very brief, subtle example of how the law of assumption works. You can be thinking about, oh, but what if I go up to that girl on the street and she says no, and she sees that I'm blushing and that I'm starting over my work. If those are the type of thoughts that you have, whether it's right before you go up to talk to her or whether it's a couple of days and you're planning on talking to your gym crush, it doesn't matter. If those are the thoughts that you're having, you're probably going to get that reflected. But if you were to tell yourself, no, I've never been rejected in my life. These women lay the red carpet out for me. They are begging and frothing at the mouth, hoping that I would just come over there and talk to them. If you had those affirmations in your vocabulary, you probably wouldn't be seeing the results that you have. But why do you not tell yourself that? Because one time it happened to you in your past, and now you see that as Bible. You look on the outside for proof, and because that one girl gave you a weird look or she said no, all of a sudden you think that everybody else is going to say no. But the trick is you don't give a shit on what happens on the external. You only give a shit about what happens in the internal. So now that we have that fundamental kind of down, how can we apply this? What are the techniques? Well, I'm going to tell you this. If you are God, you really don't need a technique. But I know a lot of you guys are still new to manifestation, and, you know, I don't even like to call it this, but law of attraction. I don't know. There's just something about that terminology that just seems dumb, but it's really law of assumption. And if you guys are new to this, I know you guys are going to want some band-aids, you know, some weaponry, you know, to go out there in the battlefield. So if you're new, what I would suggest you do is, now that you understand that reality is not what it seems and that you are the God of your own reality, just like I was giving the examples before, feed your mind with affirmations. And don't just say that she's going to say yes and I already have the number. Yeah, living in the end is important, but because you have probably spent your whole life just talking shit about yourself and saying how much of a loser you are because you got rejected that one time when you approached the girl on the train, it's time you fight back. And don't just fight back with fucking BB gun bullets. Throw a motherfucking bomb in there. Your subconscious needs to be awoken to something. The way I see our subconscious, whenever we're feeding it thoughts, is that it's like a fat guy at the front desk who's only eating donuts and on his phone all day. The only way he's going to get off his lazy ass is if somebody throws a damn bomb in there. So get atomic with this shit. She wets herself the moment that I walk inside the room. She texts me every single day that T-Mobile is pissed off because it's affecting their 5G mobile towers. Live in the end, but don't just say you have her number and that you guys are going out. Say that she has to change her panties 5 times throughout the day because she cannot stop masturbating thinking about you. Go fucking crazy. The worse shit that you were talking about yourself your whole life, the more fucking worship you have to give yourself. Because I promise you that when you actually make this a habit, you're not going to turn into a fucking narcissist. What you're going to turn into is a person who loves themselves. Get rid of this idea that, you know, you have to, you know, put people before you and it's about humbling yourself. Yes, the scriptures do say humble yourself and, you know, do for others. But you got to understand something else. And this is another video. I know I'm getting off topic here, but we are all one. Everybody you see in your reality is just a reflection of your past assumptions anyway. So when you're doing for others, you're doing for yourself. When you're doing for yourself, you're doing for others, because no matter if it's your enemy or no matter if it's your best friend, nobody wants to be wants to be around somebody who sucks, who doesn't love themselves. Isn't it interesting that even when you don't try manifestation techniques and, you know, any sort of pickup artistry, the moment you actually start not giving a shit about others but start giving a shit about yourself is when all of a sudden people treat you like the king. No matter what community you come from or belief system that you attribute to, everybody says the same shit, that when you put yourself first, you feel great. And people start being, you know, attracted more to you, whether it's romantically or whether it's, you know, your guy friends at work all of a sudden treating you like the cool guy, treating you like the most important one in the room. So make your affirmations so fucking ridiculous that they borderline sound narcissistic. But another thing too is, if that is too much for you, I would for sure, and I still say you should do this whether you're doing the ridiculous affirmations or not, make sure that whatever desired outcome you have, let's say you're trying to get Sally's number at the gym. And for one, don't even just think about getting her number, because you can get a girl's number, but she can block you instantly. If I were you, you want her number to be, involved with her romantically, right? So if your goal is to be in a relationship with her or casual dating, whatever, okay, say that I am the one that Sally is dating. At the very least, say that. And I still say that even when you're doing ridiculous affirmations, it's important that you state this, because one of the things I've noticed is because we get reflected back what we identify as, whether it's unworthy of love, we're going to get rejected all the time. Whether it's, I struggle with money, no matter how many promotions you get, you're always going to be broke, right? If that's what you identify with, the same way that we identify with being broke and being rejected all the time, even though we don't have to consciously say that, is the same way that we can identify with being Sally's boyfriend just by saying the sentence, I am blank. Remember, I am is another word for God. And if you become the God of me and Sally are in a relationship, me and Sally are the best friends with benefits relationship of all time, that will become your identity. And the more you keep saying it, the more it's going to feel normal to you. So that's why I say that it's actually better for you to combine this with your ridiculous affirmations. See this as the staple, as almost like your new name. I am the guy who is in a relationship with Sally. And I like to say I am the person, or I am the guy, or if you're a girl, I am the girl who is in a relationship with Brian. Because after all, your true nature is consciousness. You are actually not a human. But the same way that we call ourselves Billy, my name is, Billy Joel, that is what they call me. You will walk around identifying yourself as Billy Joel, as the guy who sings Piano Man, right? When people talk about Billy Joel, they don't know him as the father. They don't know him as the guy who likes to read, library books in downtown New York. They see him only as, that's the guy who, plays the piano and is always playing on my classic rock station, right? That is his earthly identity. Well, if we are trying to manifest earthly things, then you want to make your earthly identity about that thing, right? Now, again, don't pedestalize this desire, but again, we're talking about how to manifest this specifically. So when you're identifying with your end result, don't just say, I am in a relationship. Say, I am the guy who has the relationship with Sally. Because I've noticed that when I just switched it from I am in a relationship to I am the guy in that relationship, it tells my subconscious, it triggers something like, oh, so you are actually that person. You'd be surprised how just changing a fucking syllable creates the feeling and the naturality to your subconscious. And you'd be surprised how quickly it registers just by a single change in wording. Now, again, play with it, because I could be wrong. Maybe it just works for me because I'm more logical thinking or whatever. But if I can leave you with anything on this note, I would say try the sentence that really registers you as that identity. But for me, what I've seen with not just me, but with other people, is that when you say, I am the guy or I am the girl who is with Sally, it works like a gym. Lastly, I know a lot of you guys like to know about visualization and, how important it is. First of all, like any of these techniques, is not really required, because you want to get to the point where you just know that you attract all your desires, that you always get what you want, and that you know that if you have the desire in you, that means that there is a reality that exists where you already have it. Because the only way that desire is born is through the existence within the kingdom where you actually have that to begin with. It is an actual sign that you have that desire already. Because time is linear. What you see out here in the external is not actually reality. Like I said, it is just a reflection of your past assumptions. But there I go on a tangent again. If you are one of those guys who's like, I just have to have visualizations, sats. Well, then here's the thing, kiddo. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. The more troublesome you get about visualizations, the more troublesome it will get for manifestation. Don't make this more complicated than it needs to be. You want to know how visualization really works? Imagine a childhood memory, okay, when you and your dad used to go to that, mom and pop diner that you loved growing up. Think of one of the best times that y'all had at that diner, whether it was you guys were squirting each other with the ketchup bottle, or when you got in trouble for making fart noises on your armpit, whatever, right? Looking back, you slap your leg laughing about how goofy you were as a child, right? Well, when you think of that memory, let me ask you, do you remember if they had the AC on in the diner? Do you remember if the waitress Flo, had her shoes untied, or if, there was a booger in the nose of the fry cook? No! You only remember what mattered. You only remember the best parts. Almost like a trailer that you see at Comic-Con, right? Where they only, the new Batman movie is out and then everybody's online like, what the fuck? We only saw Batman's ass, It's like that, except it's not in HD. It's not in fucking 8K 1080p IMAX, right? But you see, when people say, I just cannot stop thinking of that great time I had, at the amusement park when I was a little kid. I mean, it's like it was yesterday, right? How many times do people say that, right? Well, when they say it was like it was yesterday, damn well they're not fucking with the PSVR virtual reality goggles, right? They can't smell the exact fucking perfume they were wearing. But if it was like it was yesterday, then wouldn't visualization be the same video format that our memories are, right? Yes. Don't make the visuals that your mind, your imagination creates any more complicated than it needs to be. Just simply use the same video format that you use for memories, for visualizations. And what has made visualization and sats more easier for me is that I've gotten so good at affirmations that all I have to do is say it once and an image pops up. Okay, it's the same thing like when someone says think of a pink elephant or try not to, and then you think of a pink elephant, right? Again, whatever image pops up when you say that she cannot stop texting me and T-Mobile is getting pissed because she blows up my phone 24/7. Whatever image pops up, if you just see the T-Mobile sign, if you know what it means, that's all that fucking matters. Remember, nobody's seen the movie that you create. Nobody is watching but you. So who gives a fuck either ways? Okay? So I just covered manifestation in a nutshell, and it was just all about you talking about rejection. And to be honest, maybe some of you guys watching this might have been like, well, what the fuck? You didn't even tell me if I have to block her or if I have to pull away. Look, guys, the more you try to play games, the more life is going to play games with you. Okay? Stop trying and start being. I am Neil Arthos. This is all that the I Am Awareness had to say. And I know you're going to be okay.